And money with purpose, it gets unnoticed, it's actually protected and directed. But money without purpose is often claimed by convenience, habits, and this can bad habits and impulse. I found out. And let me challenge you first. I want you to get a jug, a glass jug. Get a glass jug and give it a label. This glass jar, the assignment of this glass jar is to put any coins that you have. So we are going to look at Proverbs 21, verse 5. Proverbs 21, verse 5. And hello, stewards. Welcome back to another episode of Bolts and Nuts of Financial Wellness. As always, thanking you for joining me on this journey. And this is where we learn together, we build together, and we become better stewards of what has been entrusted to us. This is where we learn together, we build together, and become better stewards of what has been entrusted to us. Before we begin today's episode, please like, comment, and share, and subscribe. Now let's get into today's conversation. Today I want us to reflect on the word purpose. What does purpose mean to you? What do you understand when we say purpose? For me, purpose is deciding in advance what something is for. The decision is what guides every decision that you make afterward. So before you act, before you actually do the doing, before you physically do what you're about to do, before you do anything, the planning, the thought of it, the planning of it. So the decision is what guides every decision that you make afterward. And in financial wellness, purpose means giving every dollar an assignment before you receive it or spend it. And when money has no purpose, it's easily consumed by impulse, bad habits, convenience, and we're going to see later today with what I found out when I did a practical example or a practical review of my statements. It could be a pattern, it could be the impulse. So in financial wellness, purpose means giving every dollar an assignment before you receive it or even spend it. And when money has no purpose, it's easily consumed by impulse, convenience. It goes unmonitored. It's replaced by bad habits and so on. So when money has a purpose, it's directed with intention. And a steward doesn't ask, how much do I have? Or I do not ask, how much do I have? A steward will ask, what is this money for? So we are going to look at Proverbs 21, verse 5. Proverbs 21, verse 5. And this is what it says. It says, the plans of the diligent lead surely to plenty, to abundance. But everyone who is hasty comes only to poverty. So the plans of the diligent leads surely. Like the surety of this pattern, the surety of this road, the surety of the outcome is plenty or abundance. But everyone who does everything hasty without planning, that comes to poverty. Like the end result is poverty. It's not something that is good. It is below standard. It is something that you had not planned for. So purpose precedes prosperity, and what you decide in advance determines what you experience in the future. And today, I will share, let me challenge you first before I share what I found out. Let me challenge you first. I want you to get a jug, a glass jug. Get a glass jug and give it a label. This glass jar, the assignment of this glass jar is to put any coins that you have, or any coins, when you go shopping and you're given coins as change, this is a jar that is going to house all that change. I want you to label it something. You can call it Starbucks money, or you can call it movie money. You can call it donuts money. You give it a purpose. And I bet when you put a glass jar on your counter, kitchen counter, you can place it somewhere that it's easier to see. And also get one for the car too. When you do this, let me tell you, you will start seeing the pennies that are underlooked. You know those change that sometimes if it falls on the floor, we don't pick it up? It's because we haven't given it a purpose. But look for that glass jar, place it somewhere. If you have kids, let the kids know this is where we put the change. And label that jar to whatever that you want that money to do for you. You'll be surprised. After 6 months, you'll be able to buy something with those coins. So that's a challenge that I'm putting out for you. Have a money glass jar on top in the house and also in the car. So I did a practical example, and that's why I'm calling this channel the bolts and nuts of financial wellness. In episode 1, I talked about reconciling your bank accounts because you want to see what actually left in the bank. Is that what you had already budgeted to use? And if not, what are those financial leakages that you're able to identify? In episode 2, I pulled 6 months of my transactions, all the expenses, any money that left my bank, 6 months worth from January all the way to June. And what I found, where did my money go? That's episode 2, so make sure you watch it. But in this episode 3, I went further. I decided I want to look at a few categories, at least the categories that I believe that I believe I overspent. I wanted to see what happened. Is it an overspending? Did I not budget? Did I underestimate? Or did the purpose of the money that was planned for in that category was overtaken by impulse, convenience, bad habits, So once again, I'm teaching you today, and I pulled these transactions, and we're going to look at a few categories that I pulled, and we're going to see what I found out and what lesson did I learn. So once again, let me share my screen here. Okay, so let's do a recap here. Purpose. It's deciding in advance what something is for. And money with purpose, it gets noticed, it's actually protected and directed. But money without purpose is often claimed by convenience, habits, and these can bad habits and impulse. And the stewardship principle that I want us to live with today is money without purpose finds its own purpose. Money without purpose finds its own purpose. Once again, please get a glass jar. Label it. Include your children. Let them label it. You'll be very surprised after 6 months. Give yourself, whether it is every quarter or every 6 months, see how much you'll have collected. Let me tell you, that penny, that quarter, you will not overlook it anymore. It will not be on the floor. You will not get change. And then if you drop the change, you will definitely pick it up. Because you will have a purpose for that coin. You will have a purpose for that coin. And when money has no purpose, it gets overlooked. When money has purpose, we protect it and we grow it. So if that Starbucks coffee, that donut, get a glass jar. Put one in your car and one in your home, and watch 6 months later, 1 year later, you will be able you'll take that money and buy whatever that you had purposed it for. So let's go through my categories, and now I'm going to discuss on the patterns that I found. So the first one is the food and dining. So the green bar is actually the actual, and the blue bar is the budget. So if you look at this, the food and dining total, I actually went overboard. I had budgeted for $600, and that's food and dining. But look at how much I've been spending. An average of the last 6 months, every single month has been $1,300, $1,400. That's twice the budget. So there's $600 that has been leaving my bank account because I did not give it a purpose. It found its own purpose. And And so, and the food and dining, I have groceries, I have dining out, and then I have the Instacart and Starbucks. One of the things that I discovered here is that I subscribes to Instacart thinking it is convenience. You know, somebody gets to shop for me and brings my shopping in the house. I don't have to leave the house. But guess what? I started a habit and this convenience took over. And so the purpose of my money was no longer just groceries. It was more than that. And so the groceries were almost exactly on the budget, but dining out averaged nearly 4 times the planned amount. Instacart became an entirely new category that I wasn't budgeting for. And Starbucks was small, but it's contributed to the pattern. So the stewardship insight here is that the surprise wasn't groceries. The surprise was all the convenience spending surrounding the groceries. The problem wasn't the food, the problem was convenience. And this is a good example when convenience replaces purpose. Next, we look at lifestyle and entertainment. Again, if you look at the green bar for the total, it's above the budget. I went over budget. And under this category, I have hair, subscription, fun, Amazon, and gym. Amazon was not budgeted. Gym was not budgeted. The hair was actually below the budget. Fun spending was below the budget. And the biggest surprise were Amazon and gym. The Amazon, once again, it became an unplanned category. The gym started with a good intention, but it didn't fit my schedule and location. But guess what? So instead of realizing that on month 1, I allowed month 2, month 3, I just recently canceled the gym and it costed me a penalty for that, $99. Very painful. The problem wasn't lifestyle spending. The problem was the categories that I wasn't actively watching. The money didn't just disappear through the things that I planned. It disappeared through the things I stopped reviewing. Because if I reviewed what I was buying on Amazon, and Amazon started as a convenience in January. It's the cold season, getting jackets or getting few things for the kids. And then I started browsing. Every time there was a sale, I wanted an item. And I was taking advantage of the free shipping, you know? And before you know it, I was spending almost $200 per month on Amazon. On unnecessary. On wants, because those are not things that are needed. And so the money didn't disappear through the things I planned. It was what I stopped reviewing. And that's why in episode 1 starts with reconcile. Reconcile and see what you have budgeted versus what is leaving your account. Do those numbers match? And purpose without review becomes a habit. The next category is transportation. So under transportation, I have gas, I have license that was not budgeted, registration was not budgeted, Uber was not budgeted, and the vehicle cleaning was not budgeted. And you look at the total, once again, I went overboard. The actuals are higher than the budget. And the realization for this one is I wasn't actually budgeting for transportation. I budgeted for gas. And because I know what I use every month, I stopped doing paper budget. And in August, because we are going to go deep into the types of budget, how you budget, the top-down budgeting or the bottom-up budgeting, we are going to go through all forms of budgeting. There is also a zero balance budget. So we are going to go through all those budgets. And I'm going to show you the different budgets so that you can see what fits you. And I was just budgeting for gas because I already knew how much I used. But guess what? There was the license. I forgot that there's a license that I pay for, that I needed to pay for my daughter because she was getting her driver's license. Then there was the vehicle registration. I bought her a car, and so that became an expense that I had not planned for. And then Uber. The Uber habit is what surprised me. It's all started with waking up late. And so I got an Uber for my daughter to go to school. And guess what? It became a habit. She would wake up late and she knew, oh, mommy will get an Uber, until I had to say, no, no more Ubers. So again, it's costed me almost $50 to $60 a month before I said no. So sometimes you have to look at the full ownership. So instead of looking at the obvious expenses, review last year's expenses, get to see what is that one-time fee or one-time expense that I see in my bank account. Budget for it. The next category is the utilities. And the utilities, I have internet, I have mobile, and I have electricity. Utilities, again, the totals here were higher than the budget. Internet was almost exactly on budget. The mobile was slightly lower than the budget. Electricity was I cannot pronounce this word. Electricity consistently exceeded amount I had planned. And the total utilities budget was off by $51. The stewardship insight, the category was different from any other. When I look at the food, it taught me how convenience took over the purpose. When I look at the lifestyle, it taught me about unmonitored commitments. And when I look at transportation, it taught me about incomplete planning. But for utilities, it taught me something else. Sometimes the problem isn't the spending. It's not the spending behavior. Sometimes the budget itself needs to be adjusted in order to reflect reality. And that's a very important stewardship lesson, because not every variance is a financial leakage. Sometimes it's simply better information that helps us create a more realistic budget going forward. So what are the changes? Because once you become aware, you have to make a change. So the changes for me in July, I canceled Instacart. So no more Instacart, no unused subscription. I was able to cancel 2 of the subscriptions that I have. And then no unnecessary Uber. Intentional shopping is writing down what do we need this week. It's not going with no list to the shops. You have to write it down. Put something on the fridge. So when you run out of something in the house, write it down. Oh, we are out of tissue paper. We are out of sugar. We are out of salt. So that when you go to the shop, you're intentionally shopping what you need. And then any extra money that I get to start seeing, because I'm not allowing that money, to be overtaken by impulse buy or bad habits, any extra money is now going to go to debt. So the new purpose for my big glass jar is debt freedom. So it's to take care of debt. At least by October, I should be celebrating that debt-free journey. So let me put that challenge back to you. So far, what have you found out about your money? Have you done reconciliations? Have you looked at the financial leakages that we've been discussing on Facebook? Do you identify with any? Are you making changes? Remember, right now what we are discussing is the foundations of financial wellness, because there will come a time whereby we are now laser focusing towards a purpose. Whether it is a car that you're planning to buy, whether it is a house you're planning to buy, whether it's retirement, like I am doing for retirement, whatever it is that you're planning to laser focus on, you can only do this after you have already looked at the foundations. How are your foundations? Are they strong? Are you placing a purpose on every dollar amount that you get? So it's a challenge. Have that glass jar in the house and one in the car. Review your transactions. See where money is leaking. See the impulse buying. Identify the patterns, the bad habits that started as convenience, as a good intention, but you no longer take value or you no longer enjoy the benefits of what that money is paid for. Give a purpose. If you don't give it any purpose, it will find its own purpose. Thank you for spending time with me. Until next time, let's learn together, build together, and let's become best stewards of what has been entrusted to us. It's your girl, Ruth. Until next time.